Good morning, and thanks so much for tuning in to the trade setup, the big MPC day. Let's take stock of the global news flow first. The US futures inched higher ahead of the key inflation report in the US, but the Asian markets are lower by virtue of what the US markets did yesterday. China has warned Japan over the resolve to fight remarks on Taiwan, so there's a bit of a geopolitical um, stress there. And in fact, a lot of stories around China and Taiwan and the West as well emanating in the dailies today. Premium or white sugar trades near the highest level since 2011. A lot of agri commodities are shooting higher. Rice too. Rice prices have inched up quite substantially in the last few days. I think trading at some 11-year highs or something like that. And India's loan growth surpassed 20% for the first time in over a decade. Credit growth really picking up by virtue of the growth that maybe the country is doing and the demand everywhere. But be that as it may, the US markets were a bit soft. In fact, they yo-yoed but ended lower. The Nasdaq down over a percent. So that's not great news. The other cues, I mean, the yields at about 4%, 4.01 or 4.02. Everything else was steady. The gift nifty, independent of what it shows, because yesterday too it was showing a mild uptick, but ended up about 0.5% or higher or thereabouts, or a third of a percent higher. For now, showing flattish, and I reckon that's how it will start ahead of the MPC decision. By the way, what happened yesterday was interesting because the Nifty did well despite the Bank Nifty not doing well. So the Bank Nifty clearly under the spot of bother, but the Nifty went up about 61 points, led no doubt by metals, which was a top gainer, followed by Nifty Auto, which showed a bit of a bounce back. And the broader markets too were in the positive yesterday, about a third of a percent for the mid caps and small caps up about 0.5%. And a lot of result boys reacted. You could see in the way some of the stocks with price and volume action, the liquid side did, with Bharat Forge being up 7% on very high volumes, or even a trend going up 4.2% on very high volumes. Both of these had come out with results and reacted duly. There was also India Cements, Voltas, ABFRL. So pretty interesting day of trade yesterday for the result boys. So what's the trade setup therefore in such a scenario? Well, I think BFSI is unlikely to see very sharp up moves, even if the policy commentary is benign. Because just you can see the kind of cloud that banks are trading in now. These may be the famous last words, and we may see the bank nifty really rally today, but somehow I doubt that will happen. Pharma remains the key bucket, and cement is likely to see some strength as well, as per what I'm hearing. Much of market experts talk to me about in terms of volume growth as well. And yesterday I would urge all of you to hear the Bharat Forge interview that they did with us. The commentary around forging demand is very strong, and I would reckon that forging companies may continue to get a leg up post results and commentary. Now, Bharat Forge is a mix of multiple businesses, but even pure play forging companies. There is an Forging, Ramkrishna Forging, maybe some others that I'm missing. But the commentary around the Europe demand and US demand continues to be very, very positive since the start of the year. And yesterday, you heard Bharat Forge say a pretty similar thing for not just 2023 or FY24, but 2023 and 2024 both. So pretty interesting what could happen there. This is the interview that I'm talking about. It's worth listening in. It's a short 15-minute conversation. Gives you a lot of insight about what Bharat Forge is doing, yes, but also what's happening within that auto ecosystem. Very important day for numbers. A lot of large names as well. So LIC, of course, quite up there, but Hero MotoCorp, amidst all the news flow surrounding it, is important, as of course would be SAIL and Pidilite. There is also Astral, I think, today coming out with numbers. And then pharma names in Biocon, Alchem, and Ipca coming out with numbers. There is Mazgon Doc, which will be very, very interesting for people by virtue of the kind of moves that the stock has done. And I think everybody will be watching out for Campus Activewear. Now that the supply of overhang is out of the way, what is it the company does in terms of numbers? Then very quickly, we're moving on to the stocks to watch in the session today. Starting off with the newsmakers first, then going on to the result. Suzlon, 19.5 rupees per share. It's launched the QIP, plans to raise about 1,800 to 2,000 crores. The floor price of the QIP is 18.44 rupees per share. The successful completion of this QIP will see Suzlon being able to retire a large portion of its debt, if not all of it, and that might help the stock. Remember, viewers, you know what happened to Inox. I'm not saying the same thing will happen to Suzlon, but you know what happened to Inox Wind. A large 10% block got absorbed fairly easily, I would reckon. The stock saw a bump up after that. Suzlon is going to use the same. I mean, the way Inox Wind Energy use the proceeds from Inox Wind sale to retire debt, or at least that's the intent. Similar thing for Suzlon, retire debt, successful completion of the QIP could actually see the stock do well. So do watch out for Suzlon. In fact, if you look at the last maybe 15, 20 days, Inox Wind has rallied quite a bit. Suzlon has not. So could be an interesting one. I'm not predicting it will rally, but I think the decks are set that if they do the successful completion of the QIP, then it could augur well for the stock. Then Hero MotoCorp, it faces a tax probe over links to vendors' 11 million false expenditure as per agencies. Now, we don't know. I mean, we at BQ Prime personally do not know the veracity of this, but agencies have quoted this. So I'm putting this out because the stock may react. So you should know that if Hero MotoCorp is reacting negatively, why is it doing so? Max Life is in focus. Axis Bank is going to invest $195 million in Max Life at about 113 rupees per share, would increase stake to 16.2%. The deal is likely to be completed in 4 to 6 months. This news about Titagarh came in just around market closing. Maybe all of us didn't catch it, so therefore I thought I should bring it. That Skoda Group is going to deliver rail cars worth 733 million euros to Italy with company units Titagarh, Firema. Now, to my mind, Titagarh had sold off this unit. Okay. We've tried to reach out to Titagarh and ask them about whether this is indeed true and whether Titagarh Rail Systems benefits out of this fundamentally, because I thought Titagarh had sold off this unit, but it's out there. I'm bringing it to you. I urge you to please do your own due diligence before you get excited about this. NHS, even if this is true, we do not know what's the quantum of stake between Skoda and Titagarh, even if this unit belongs to Titagarh even now. So please do your own due diligence before you go out and trade into this. I mean, there's still an hour left for the markets to open. If you are interested in Titagarh, would urge you to kind of look this up. Z Entertainment could be interesting because NCLT is going to pronounce the Z Sony merger today. I would reckon that the announcements could come in sometime post 2:30 p.m. Whether it happens during market hours or no remains to be seen. But this, viewers, is the most important thing for Z today. And as a result of which, the numbers from Z hold little significance. It was not a great quarter. Revenues were lower than estimated. Margins completely collapsed and much lower than estimated. Net loss of 53 crores versus a profit of 106 crores. Terrible quarter. But what is more important for Z is the previous plate, which is NCLT will pronounce the Z Sony merger today. A lot of strong OI build up there in Z Entertainment. I think it'll be important to see how the stock fares. But yep, this is the most important thing. I really doubt Z. I mean, Z may have a small reaction here and there open, but a large portion of the OI will either profit book or loss book, depending on what the announcement from NCLT comes in today. Remember yesterday we had spoken about how the OI for Z is at some 1-year high, is up 50% from June, and the call put ratio and maximum calls are written about 250 rupees per share. So Z could be interesting. Then result boys, Tata Power, very strong set of numbers, revenues at 15,000 crores, estimated of 15,696. But EBITDA margins really did better than what was estimated, 19.35% versus 11.6%. The Bloomberg estimates were 16.9%. PAT at 1140 crores, the estimate was 768 crores. So good going for Tata Power. PI Industries is the other one, which posted a very strong set of numbers. Revenues were up 23.8% at 1910 versus 1543. EBITDA margins at 24.49 versus 22.4, and net profit up 45.9% at 382 crores versus 262 crores. A good showing by PI Industries as well. Force Motors had a really strong showing. Revenue up 53%, EBITDA margins at 12.14 versus 4.61, net profit at 68.5 versus net loss of 16.5 crores. So good showing by Force Motors. FDC, revenues up 8.4%, but EBITDA margins expand, and net profit therefore expands 55% to 109.4 versus 70.66. Then there's Likhita Infrastructure. Revenues were up 10% at 90 crores, EBITDA up 10%, margins almost steady, and therefore net profit just about 17% higher. So flattish performance by Likhita. So therefore, watch out for that stock too. JB Chemicals, interesting numbers. Revenues up 14%. EBITDA margins at 25.9 versus 22.01. So interesting margin expansion there. As a result of which the net profit number looked pretty robust there. Expansion out there on the net profit side was very, very interesting. So do watch out for that. Then there is Abbott India, wherein revenues were up 13% at 1479. The Bloomberg estimate was 1429. EBITDA margins at 24 versus 20%. The estimate was 22.8%. And net profit up 41% at 290 crores versus 205 crores. The estimates were 249 crores. So relative to the previous quarter, relative to estimate, I think it did really well for itself. So good numbers for that one. Schneider Electric, again, a good set of numbers. Revenues up 33%, EBITDA margins 9.99 versus 7.79. Net profit up 31% at 35 versus 26. So good showing there. Then the slightly tricky ones, BLS and IOL, wherein the revenues were down, but the margins expanded, as a result of which the net profit loss in BLS was not that bad. And IOL actually showed an expansion in profit despite revenues being flattish to marginally lower, 0.3% lower revenue. But EBITDA margin for IOL chemicals was 12.88% versus 9.87%. And net profit was 32.3% higher at 45 crores versus 34.67 crores. So do watch out for that as well. Well, VMart, sales, the numbers will come up on your screen for VMart. Revenue was up about 15.4% at 678 versus 587 crores. EBITDA margin at 7.73% versus 15.08%. And there was a loss of 21.94 crores versus a 20 crore profit. There was a loss QOQ as well, by the way, in VMart, but YOY there's a loss which happened versus a profit of 20 crores, as a result of which not the best of numbers for VMart. May see a bit of a reaction. Timex, not the best of numbers. Revenues up 12%, but margins came off completely. Net profit down 64%. Could correct, as well as Sula Vineyards, which the wine sales were okay, but revenues therefore 116 crores versus estimates of 100 crores. But margins came off a little bit relative to estimates. Net profit at 11 crores versus estimate of 12.5 crores. So just about okay. And then two stocks which did really well yesterday. What our brokerage is saying about them, I think that is important. So thought we'd bring them to you. Morgan Stanley on Bharat Forge, overweight rating, target price of 1028. They said the core business is well placed and companies positioned to capture growth in new segments. The expansion of non-auto will make the business less cyclical and open up new growth segments. The stock trades at 30 times FY25 earnings versus 26 times for the auto component peers. And the higher visibility on new business wins supports higher multiples versus the auto component peers. That's Morgan Stanley on Bharat Forge. And Jeffries on Trent, which was up 5% yesterday. They were hold on expensive valuation. The target price has been raised to 1640 from 1400. They say they posted strong revenue growth with the doubling of Zudio revenues. Frankly, Zudio as it is, which is driving growth. Gross margins picked up quarter on quarter, though fell about YOY. The company's 700 stores with hefty additions continuing in Zudio in particular, which is now almost as good as West Side on profitability metrics. And the focused approach and some hard measures helped turn subsidiaries EBITDA positive for the first time, which also should look at well. So now Trent is expensive. Yes, it is. But is it worth getting that kind of, of valuations? People would say yes, most likely yes. So that's the set of companies that I think you got to look at. Pharma, Abbott, FTC, and JB Chemicals today, in addition to of course what Force Motors has done. Gurkha is just doing the magic out there. Extremely strong showing. Then Tata Power, of course, very strong set of numbers. Some people may argue it's in line, but I thought the numbers were very, very strong. IOL, top line, bit of an issue, but otherwise did okay. What did not do well, like I said, aside of course, Sula Vineyards, which was okayish. I thought the numbers that I missed was Ratnamani Metals, which was a wobbly number. Granules had a very wobbly quarter. Valiant Organics had a slightly iffy quarter. DMCC Chemicals didn't have the best of quarters. So that's to be watched out for. That's it on the trade setup, viewers. We'll, of course, have a bunch of conversations today, but the more important one is the MPC. So clearly watch out for that. The decisions come out at 10, the press conference at 12, both of which will be live on BQ Prime. And then a set of conversations with some key people, including Rajiv Anand, Tanvi Gupta Jain, as well as Jayesh Mehta, to give you the banking, economic, and bond market perspective. And of course, a clutch of other result conversations will happen on BQ Prime. I urge you to try and tune in for some of those, whichever is of interest. Thanks so much for tuning into the Trade Setup.
The RBI Monetary Policy Committee is poised to hit pause on interest rates for a third time in a row. What's the impact of vegetable prices on outlook of inflation, and is India's growth on track? Catch all the action live on BQ Prime.